For the ninth time in the last 11 years, the women's hockey team has advanced to the Frozen Four. The Badgers will play Minnesota on Friday at 6 p.m. in Durham, New Hampshire. The winner of that game will then advance to the NCAA title game on Sunday. In addition, the Patty Kazmaier Award winner will be announced on Saturday, and UW goalie Anne Renee Debienne is one of 3 finalists. Head coach Mark Johnson is here. We'll have some opening comments and take questions.
Thanks, Brian. Just feeding off a couple of my comments after our game the other night. I just want to thank our fans. It was a special season for a lot of reasons. Finishing undefeated at home, I give a lot of credit to our support and the people that are willing to come out and support our program and create an atmosphere the other night that was certainly special and unique, and our players certainly appreciate it, and it helps us win games. So a big thank you to all the people that came out throughout the season, especially Saturday, to support our weekend. As far as this week, everybody's excited. It's a great time to be excited in regards to we get to practice again today. That means we got another game at hand, and certainly the opponent has been there before. We've played each other 5 times now this season, and so it's, who's going to be able to come out, execute, do the little things necessary to give their teams the best opportunity to win. So it should be a fun atmosphere. It should be a fun game to play in, and certainly our players are excited for the opportunity.
Coach, you got a big sheet of ice you're going to be playing on this weekend. How comfortable do you think your players can get with that in just 1 week of practice?
Well, I mean, both teams will be playing on it. It just makes for a different game than what the previous 5 games we've played against each other. And we won a national championship up in Minneapolis playing in Mariucci, which is a big ice sheet, and so get an opportunity to skate a couple sessions here at the Kohl Center and make the adjustments necessary. And again, it comes down to your good players have to be good. You have to do a lot of little things, and that won't be any type of excuse because both teams will be playing on it. And again, history tells me that when we match up against Minnesota, generally they're pretty close games. They're overtime games. They're end-to-end action, and for the people that show up or get a chance to watch it on the streamline, similar to the previous 5 games this year, it'll be entertaining.
Mark, can you define the importance of having the last change in a game like this, knowing the talent that Minnesota is going to throw out there at you?
It helps us. When we played up there, the 2 away games that we played there that we ended up losing, they added a piece to their lineup that wasn't there in the previous part, and it just when the home team gets the last change, it can make a difference. And certainly when we went up there and played in our playoff games, that little bit of knowing who we could match up against, it just puts me in a more comfortable position.
You've been through this a lot of times. So how do you go about the week so that, the pressure doesn't build on these young ladies, instead just the excitement kind of builds towards the event?
That's a good question. I mean, having been there and having players been, in this game last season, other than our 3 freshmen, I think everybody will be, somewhat comfortable under the circumstances. But, getting a chance to practice at the Kohl Center and, playing a familiar opponent, there's nothing really new other than the magnitude of the game. And so we'll go about our week similar to going about our week when we play Minnesota, either here or up at their building, and, do the things that put us in this position and not try to do things outside that, make them aware of some things, and then it's going to come down to when they drop the puck, who can execute.
Third straight year you're playing Minnesota in the Frozen Four semifinals. Is there any part of you that wishes you were facing somebody else?
Can't control that, so that's just the way the numbers have fallen the last few years, and here we are again. But the nice part is we're playing, and we're down to 4 teams, and the season's going to be over, for a couple teams Friday night, and then the 2 get to advance and they get the Sunday's game. So very worthy opponents. I mean, BC's undefeated. They're trying to do something that only Minnesota's done in the past, and Clarkson, a few years ago upset Minnesota, and so they're in a position where they've got some seniors that have been down this path, so it should make for a great tournament.
Mark, to what degree does your team perhaps have a psychological advantage just from the fact after a number of years of kind of coming up on the short end of the stick against Minnesota, you swept them here, you've shut them out on their home ice, you landed the last blow, so to speak. So how does that play into the psyche of your team?
I think, for both teams, as we prepare for the game Friday night, what are our strengths and how can we play to those strengths? And I'm sure they're probably doing the same type of things. And so you look at the matchups, you look at how the game might transpire, and, you really have to play to your strengths right now. And I think, for both teams, confidence is probably at a pretty high level right now, and so the first 6-8 minutes of the game, there's probably going to be a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of excitement on both parts, and whether we had won the last game or lost the last game, I'm not sure if that plays into either team's advantage or disadvantage. It comes down to 60 minutes. It comes down to 3 periods, and I get back to who can execute. Need to stay out of the penalty box and do a list of maybe 4 or 5 things. And if you're able to check those off at the end of the game, you've probably given yourself a pretty good chance to win.
How well is Emily Clark playing right now? Clearly, she's been one of your more consistent players this year, but has she found another plateau here? It would appear that's the case.
I think so. I think, with our better players, and probably maybe a little bit plays into it, when they get those phone calls to go represent their countries in the World Championship, they come to practice the next day and they usually tell me they got the call, and, the smile's gotten a little bit bigger. And Emily, she's generally smiling and a happy person most of the time, but I think, especially with the tournament this year being held in Canada, for her to get that call, it just all of a sudden, her feet are a little bit lighter. She's skating a little bit quicker, and she's playing because she's excited about the opportunities that have been put in front of her. Annie Pankowski's the same way, where she gets the call from Team USA and gets a chance to go up to British Columbia, after this tournament and play for her country and play for a gold medal. I mean, they get excited, and so you want your good players to be good right now, and certainly both Emily and Annie have elevated themselves here as we've got into playoffs and we've got ourselves in a position for this game Friday night.
Obviously, the stats back up what Anne Renee's done all season. In your mind, why is she deserving of winning the Patty Kazmaier?
Well, I think, the numbers she's put up, the NCAA record, that probably a lot of people thought was one that may not, be broken, but she's gone beyond that, and she's obviously put our team in a position to play in the Frozen Four. We won our WCHA league title. We won our playoff title. I mean, her resume is pretty impressive, as well as the other 2 individuals that are part of the equation. So, we're excited for her. We're excited for the opportunity to play this weekend, and certainly, as she'll attest to, she's very proud of the players that have played in front of her, because they've certainly played a part in her records.